Recording and officially welcome everyone to this International Coaching Week event. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for being patient as we work through some technical challenges. I'm absolutely delighted that we're able to gather today, some of us online, some of us in person at Admiral Insurance, to really explore professional coaching and have an opportunity to experience it through a demonstration, have some conversation about that, and to connect as a community of coaches, clients, learners, to share that experience and through that explore the power of coaching in our lives. So as we get started, just a couple of logistics. I think everyone has used Zoom before, but for a quick reminder, number one, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. And we're going to use chat today to invite your comments, your questions, and I'll do my best to monitor chat and then invite you to join the conversation. We are, as I said, recording, and we have an opportunity today, I think, in a small, intimate group to have some very rich conversation. So it is my absolute pleasure on behalf of the board. I think most of you know me. My name is Michelle Lane, and I'm the education coordinator here for ICF Atlantic. And we have online two members of ICF, professional coaches, seasoned coaches both, who are going to jump into the role of coach and client. That's Mara Vizzuti and Betty Watson-Borg. Thank you to each of you for so generously agreeing to step into those roles and to do some coaching today. We have an opportunity through your work to really see coaching come to life. We can talk about it, but it's so much richer to experience it, to see it, and to be able to appreciate it and have conversation in the moment. So we're going to dive in. If the folks at Admiral are able to join us, so much the better. But just for those who are wondering kind of what that connection is, we have a very large group at Admiral Insurance where Shelley Cox, board member, and the person who really envisioned today's series of events is on site with many coaches from ICF, with many keen enthusiasts, some who are moving into coaching at Admiral, some who have already experienced the benefit of coaching and are curious to learn more, and those who are just interested and curious. So it's really an opportunity in what they're going to be doing on site, what we're going to be doing through Betty and Mara's work to dive in and have some rich conversation. So I want to invite Mara and Betty to begin this process for us, and we're going to structure this in a series of segments and have lots of conversation in between. And so I want to welcome each of them warmly to this program and invite them now to lead us into a little bit of a coaching conversation. And as we do, I want to invite everyone who is here with us to be listening, be watching, be observing, inviting yourself to be curious about what's going on, wondering about the roles, making a note or two perhaps about things you'd like to ask about or comment about, and use it as a real learning opportunity. And then we'll come back after each segment to have some conversation about that. So Mara and Betty, are you ready to take us into this?
We're ready to jump in, I think.
Perfect. All right. Over to you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, and good morning, Betty.
Morning.
what should we be focusing on today?
Well, you told me that I should come prepared to have a theme of what I wanted to talk about. And so I'm kind of and yet that's really hard for me. So I'm sort of in the arena of the work-life balance sort of thing. However, that's such a well-used word or overused word. So I feel like I'm wanting to get more focused on something in that work-life balance area.
Beautiful. So what aspect of that area is speaking to you these days?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, okay, I've got my professional life and there's so many interesting things happening there. I've got my family life and interesting things and changing things happening there. Kind of have the health and then the whole area of leisure. And I'm feeling like that leisure area is a place that I just don't seem to have enough room or enough time in my day to do, to explore other areas there. So that's sort of where I'm thinking.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you've mentioned a few areas in your life, health and family and work. And so it's quite a few. And is leisure the aspect of this work-life balance goal that you want to zero in on, Betty?
Thanks. That's a great question. I, it is, and yet I think as I'm thinking about like what's the problem that I'm trying to solve here, it's the time factor that I feel like I love doing all of these things, and yet there isn't enough time in my day and in my week, and the seasons are going by and the years are going by. And so, I've been, as I'm just talking out loud here, I'm thinking that I'm just doing too many things so that the leisure and the recreation and sort of the fun factor, and I guess ongoing learning, I love to learn. There's just not enough time. So I'm wondering if it's something about what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to, because I'm feeling like, as I'm talking out loud here, I'm saying yes to too many things, so that it's meaning I'm not having enough time to do some of the things that I want to do or explore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you sure have there's sure a lot of interests that you have and a lot of things that get your energy going.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you really like doing a lot of things, but now, as you're saying, time's going on, the years are passing, time is moving quickly. It sounds almost like a refresh time, like let's press the refresh button on what my priorities are now, what my yeses or nos are now.
Yeah.
Is that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I'm saying yes, that's the easy part. I think it's the saying no. That is the hard part. So I guess if I were trying to focus on something, it's like, why am I not, it's the no. Like, why am I not saying no when I know I should be saying no? Because the yes is easy.
Okay. Gotcha. So tell me in 60 seconds or less, what a home run looks like for you today on this session.
Oh, in 60 seconds. Okay. So if I talk really fast.
It's a lot of time, actually. It's quite a bit of time.
Okay.
Just slow down. You got time.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that I would like to explore the no side of things. And it's like, I want to be able to say no more often. And I think I need so I guess what would be at the end of our session today is that I guess I have more understanding of the no side, and I'd like to be thinking about what I can do to say no more often.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's really clear. Okay, I'm going to just pause there and over to you, Michelle.
That's great. Thanks, Mara. Thanks, Betty. What a lovely first segment to move us into what's important to Betty today. So I want to invite some comments, some questions perhaps from those online. If the folks at Admiral are able to send messages through, use the chat function. Or for those online, maybe just put your hand up if you want to unmute yourself and speak, and we'll just explore this a little bit. And in particular, what were you noticing in that particular few minutes of coaching? Um, what stood out for you? Joel?
Yeah, I guess what jumped out of it. So Bet, you had a lot of things that you identified right in the opening, and I just liked the where you took the conversation and were able to zero in on one particular element of it in what felt like a relatively short time. So it was just it kind of stood out for me.
Nice. Thanks, Joel. What else did folks particularly notice about what Mara was doing to help bring that focus?
Well,
Emery?
yeah, I just like the idea where, you kind of, what you sort of said in 60 seconds or less, what does this look like for you? And that really sort of allows the client to hone in a little bit more and not get too scattered in different directions and start talking the story.
Lovely. Get to the bottom line. Very nice. What else was going on? Any other observations or perhaps a question about a technique or a skill that you saw Mara using and perhaps the effect it might have had on Betty? Is that Mary looking to jump
Hi,
in?
it's Mary. I noticed that the coach used the client's language, so of balance and things like that. So she very much started talking and relating using the language that the client was using.
Nice. Real connection there.
Yes.
Beautiful. So let's go back to Mara and Betty. Is there anything further that either of you would want to add about that particular segment before you move on?
As this is Betty, as the client, that the Mara recognized that I had a lot of interest in a lot of different things, and I acknowledged that, and in sort of an appreciative way. So again, as client, I felt that the coach had actually heard without me saying the words, kind of this environment or the context that I was in, and I appreciated that.
Thank you. Can we jump in now? Is that okay? We jump back in, Michelle? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we're jumping back in. So that first step of the coaching model, we're using an abbreviated coaching model this morning. That first step is really clarifying the focus for the call, and really establishing the agreement is the most important first step of any coaching call. And one of the aspects of that is being able to narrow the scope, which is, and there's a lot of different questions to that. So we're going to move into the next phase of the coaching now. So Betty, what I heard you say is you want to be able to say no more, and you want to have more of an understanding of the no side, because you got the yes side down, got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I say no more? What's sort of more of an understanding of the no side? And can you just reiterate for me again why this is so important for you now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there are, I'm, as I navigate my life, have spent a number of years doing a number of things and kind of in a new phase and having new things to do. And yet there's some other things, old things that I still have to continue to do. So I think it's almost around, I just want to maximize what I am able to do, able to serve, able to experience, help others with the time, the 24 hours a day, or I don't have 24 hours a day, say the 12 hours a day I have there. So it's just really important to, I guess, not find myself saying yes to things that don't make sense for me to be saying yes anymore, or actually aren't productive or fruitful or satisfying or contribute in a meaningful way. So it's just, just wanting to, I guess, live my life in a productive way.
Mm-hmm. Maximize is the word that really jumped out at
Mm-hmm.
me. As you're saying, maximize, highest, best use of Betty.
Yeah.
Time,
Okay.
time, energy.
And I so as soon as you said that, something came to my mind, and that was that maximizing historically has been volume. And so now I'm interested in going smaller volume and more depth and meaning, whether it's professional, whether it's family, whether it's leisure.
Beautiful. So quality versus quantity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice. More depth. Beautiful. All right. That sounds really clear. All right. So what do you think would be a good way to approach this?
Well, I'm still, you have your default behaviors, the things that you do like unconsciously. And I think saying yes has been my default of saying yes for a wide variety of different reasons. So I think I would like to kind of get more understanding about why it's hard for me to say no, and maybe it's more about, because I'm wanting to think forward, is like, what is the criteria that I want to have in place to say no? So I'm actually able to think about it, reflect on it, have some understanding, so that when I find myself in that situation of my my head is saying no and my out is coming out of my mouth is saying yes. So I think I want to have criteria that I've thought about in advance about the no side, so that I can say no with grace and respect and with thoughtfulness, both for the other person or the other situation, as well as for myself.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So what I heard you say is you were interested in exploring why it's so hard to say no. And secondly, very succinctly, look, what are the criterion for me to say no, or maybe even understand the criterion to say yes would be helpful there too.
I think they're definitely both there.
Either one, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else in terms of what would be a good approach?
Yeah, I think it's the focus on what is the criteria for saying no, because I have some pretty good ideas why I don't say no. So I don't think I need to reflect too much on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so what is the criterion for saying no? Would you like to do a little brainstorming around that one right now?
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be a good use of my time today.
Okay. So what's the first idea that comes to mind when you think about this criteria, this checklist?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's the naming it when it's there. So as I said, I think that a lot of this yes, no stuff happens at a subconscious level. There's all kinds of history and behaviors. So I want to figure out, how can I bring it up above the horizon, so that when I'm facing it, the ask or the request or the opportunity, that it's conscious. So I can go, oh, I'm in that place. So that would be one really helpful thing, I think.
So I'm just curious. So it's like recognizing it in the moment that it's happening, when it's right in front of you,
absolutely.
that your brain is shouting no, but you can feel yourself almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about if sorry, go ahead.
So there's the noticing it, naming it, getting up above the horizon, and then there's the there's noticing it, naming it, and then what do I do? And it's almost like I need how can I build in a pause, some sort of a pause, a break, so that I'm just not reacting or jumping into the traditional way of reacting, which is to say yes.
Beautiful. So shall we try a little experiment maybe with this?
I don't know. What if I'm going to try that? No. No experiment here.
No experiment. Okay.
Okay. No, we can experiment.
Here's Betty. This weekend I'm moving, and I'd really like you to help me move. I've got all this heavy furniture and tons of boxes, and So this is a request, yeah? Like it could be anything like this. So what are you feeling now? Are you noticing?
Yeah. Again, I could just feel that I could feel it actually in my stomach, just like, ugh, like that is the last thing I want to do. That like I could feel it viscerally, and I could feel the yucky feeling. And yet I could also feel the guilt coming through that, oh my gosh, you know.
Mm. Mm-hmm. So noticing it and naming it. I think you've got the first two. I think you've got the first two steps down. Then what happens?
I'm not sure I know what you mean, what that question means.
Mm-hmm. So you've noticed it, you've named it, and then what do you do?
Yeah, now I'm stuck because I know my head is saying no, 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 I don't want to. My gut is saying guilt, guilt, guilt. Yeah, so I need to do something that lets me just pause so I don't react too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I need some language, some words or some language to respectfully decline.
Right. Okay, I'm going to pause there. And I'm going to go over to you now, Michelle.
Thanks, Mara and Betty. Such lovely connection between your coach and client to continue this conversation and really probe. Let's hear from folks online. What in particular did you notice happening in this segment of coaching?
Well, it's Joel. I guess a couple of things stood out for this particular segment for me. It's a constant clarification of what's being spoken, by what Betty was saying. I liked how Mara was constantly clarifying it to make sure that she actually was getting the message that Betty intended to send out. So that part of it stood out for me. The other part is it's a disproportionate amount of time that Mara allowed for Betty to speak versus her speaking. That was another aspect that caught my attention. And I guess the last one was the constantly asking questions. And so it's good for me to observe it. It's as opposed to volunteering information, which seems to be our, I know for me, in a lot of scenarios, my gut instinct is to be comfortable with the quiet, I guess, if indeed it's there. So let the individual process if they have to, and then carry on.
Thanks, Joel. Yes, that sense of curiosity and really wanting to hear directly from Betty was just so powerful. And even right from the beginning, when having established the focus in the first segment, Mara didn't leave it at that. Mara spent, the first couple of minutes really going even deeper, inviting Betty to really clarify, confirm, narrow that focus, which then opened up so many possibilities. Great, thanks. What else was going on? Let's hear from others as well. What else was happening in this particular segment that was a really key element of the coaching? Anne-Marie.
Well, again, really being clear on noticing and naming, and really not going any further until there was alignment on the noticing and the naming. And then from there, delving into that. And again, using the language that Betty uses. And maybe we can just use this as a parking lot. We don't necessarily need to talk about this right now, but one thing I'd like to learn a little bit more of is, and both of you two being coaches, you don't go into the story that much. But my challenge is, of course, the client going into the story so much, and trying to intrude, trying to pause, trying to bottom line is still one of those lovely challenges that I go through. So, and I don't know if you're going to touch on that right now, but if not, maybe it'll be a topic for another day.
That's a great question. Mary, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I guess for me that is the first step. That really is the first step of the conversation. And sometimes you need that part of the story, as Betty gave me some of the story in the beginning. And I think it's just keeping asking questions that help them narrow the focus. So I've heard you say A, B, or C. Which one do you want to address first? You know, what aspect of this goal are we going to zero in on? You know, how can you rephrase that as a goal for today? So it's the questions just keep narrowing them down. And so as that will get them narrowing the story down at the same time. I don't know if that's helpful, but usually up front people have a lot to say, and they're quite divergent in their thinking when they come to you. So it's just bringing them a little bit, bringing that in. I don't know I hope that if that helps.
That's a lovely point, Mara. That notion of using the device of inviting the narrowing of the story, and as you narrow the focus, and how the two can complement each other. Anne Marie, does that offer you some ideas?
Yeah, it does. I'd need to kind of word it in my little head here to make sure it feels like the right. I loved how you did that so fluently, and I think I still provide the client a little bit too much time to get into the story, and then sometimes it's a waste of their time and their money, quite frankly, when they're getting way too deep into the story and they're kind of squirreling all over the place. And I need to practice honing in on that skill.
I've got about 5 questions that I can send it after the call if you want. I can send them to Michelle if that would be helpful, and then she can send it to you. Anne Marie, I don't have them. I don't know if I've got your contact info, but I'm happy to do that. And they're called narrowing the scope questions. And that might be helpful.
I would love that. I'd very much appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Shall we jump? Shall we jump back in, Michelle? Or
yeah, let's jump in and move
okay. Well, so with that particular step, that particular phase of the conversation with Betty and I was really trying to brainstorm possibilities. And actually, I would have spent more time on that before we start. We sort of started getting a little bit into solution already with noticing it, naming it, and she was jumping into that, which was fine. But normally I'd probably spend a little bit more time pulling more threads for angles that we could try to approach this with. But because our time is limited, I wanted to just get going. So that phase is called the brainstorm possibilities phase. And then in that phase, you really want the client to come up with quite a few ways to take a run at the topic, which I didn't allow as much time for in this particular case. Okay, shall we jump back in? Okay, Betty.
Hi,
Betty.
Hi.
So,
Still here.
Yay! So what I heard was you said so beautifully. Just to reiterate, the purpose of our call is being able for you to have a better understanding of saying no, more understanding of that, and want to be able to say it more. And you spoke of noticing it, naming it, pausing, and language for it, which is quite a beautiful framework. Would you want to say more about that, or?
Well, I just think that just even talking out loud today about it is helping, again, get it from the subconscious default, deeply entrenched behavioral thing to getting it up above the horizon. So I actually feel like, even having talked about it so far today, that I'm just going to be more aware consciously. And it's that kind of unconscious competence, conscious competence. I feel like I need to be conscious. Right now I feel unconsciously incompetent in this whole area, but I feel like just through our conversation, I'm feeling now consciously incompetent. So now I actually want to build some skills, the competence skills around what do I do, how do I articulate it when it comes up, because I feel like I'm more conscious. I think probably, breathing when it comes up is a way to sort of slow me down. So I really like to focus on, okay, now, like, how can I frame my language or my words for this?
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. So so let's talk about what is the game plan for you when this, you know, arises, like you're noticing it, and maybe it'd be valuable to speak more about what noticing it means to you each step. But in terms of sort of putting this structure into a game plan now of what you need to do this differently, where would you like to start with that?
I guess, you know, it's almost like, oh, do I have to role play or something like that? Because it's like, it's the language. Like, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I want them to like me. You know, I want them to feel like they're coming to me because they think they can count on me. So I don't want to let them down. So it's almost like having some idea of how to communicate it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, so the noticing it and the naming it and the pausing that you were doing earlier, that's going to come pretty naturally.
Yeah, because we've talked about it and it's just feeling like, and it's kind of been bothering me for quite a while now. So I feel like that part I'm ready for, and I have a real appetite for it. Yeah. So it's now, how do I communicate with somebody so that they don't feel let down?
Beautiful. Okay. So, let's go back to the moving example, because it sounds like maybe practicing language to saying no,
Yeah.
having some language in your hip pocket, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
bet Saturday, Saturday, 10 a.m. Are you gonna help me move? What's the deal? I'm looking forward to seeing you then.
And then it's like, and I'm just freezing inside. I'm just going, oh. And without language, I'll be there Saturday morning moving. And, I mean, because I don't have I can't use an excuse like a bad back. Like, they know, like, I can't.
Right,
like, there's no physical reason I can't do it. It's because I don't feel like it's the best use of my time.
Okay.
With my limited time.
Okay. So, what is a way that you could say that? What is a way that you could say that in a way that respects your boundaries and doesn't, in terms of their feelings? I mean, that's for them to deal with, right? I mean, there's only so much you can do you can't control how people are going to feel about that reaction. It's kind of interesting with no, because I think sometimes when we have a hard time saying no, sometimes we also have a hard time hearing no. So
that's the hard part too. Yeah.
So that could be part of the experiment going forward. But practice with me right now some language. What might work to say no to me? That would be truthful and holding your boundaries and respectful and.
Yeah. No, I can't. I can't. I won't. There's a difference between I can't and I won't too. Because I can't means I can't. I've already have something other commitment, which is probably that would be my very insincere way of going down this path. Is I can't. I've got another appointment. I have a conflict. Blah, blah, blah. I won't. Is very, very different. That's me taking control of my kind of own destiny. So, so there's a differentiation there, and probably my default would be that I can't. I have something scheduled, a family member. This is assuming I don't have a bad back or some other infirmity that doesn't let me actually physically help them, those would be the easy routes out. So it's the I won't. I need language. I need to figure out what the language is for I won't.
Okay. Because it's more, it's cleaner, right? It's cleaner.
Well, it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah, right. No ideas.
And I'm blanking right now.
Just totally blanking. You know what I'm hearing? You know what I'm hearing as you're speaking, Betty? Here's what I'm hearing. In the structure of my life as it is right now, this is something I'm choosing not to do. I'm just choosing not to do it. I'm choosing no to this. It isn't going to work for me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to work for you.
No, it's not going to work.
How does that feel, saying that?
Well, it doesn't feel good at all. Because then it's all about me versus about them. Yeah, it's all about me. And yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling stuck right now on that one.
What do you think would help?
I don't know. To be honest, this is why I'm here.
Something occurred to me as you're saying it's all about me. Is there a way to be able to say, look, that's not going to work for me, and is there another way I could support that may work? I don't know. Like, is there another offer there that would feel?
Yeah. Well, you know, that feel. Sorry, go ahead.
Or is it just sometimes it's just not going to work for me? That's that. And just getting more comfortable with that.
That may be that, you know, just I probably need to sit in that space that it's, I mean, it's just not going to work for me, if that's my phrase. I want to be thinking about what's another way to say that isn't quite so me oriented. Yeah. Yeah. The moving one's a good example. Because it's, you know, and you know what, it's, you know, I probably moving away from it. Depends who asks me. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Great.
So there's a qualitative, again, goes back to the criteria again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pause there because I'm just looking at what time it is. So back to you, Michelle.
That was great. This is really getting juicy now.
Yeah.
So in addition to doing some obvious things at the front of this to pick up and reconnect to the flow, because when you chunk out a coaching session and you have some dialogue in between, there's naturally little breaks, and so lovely connection and threading their narrative really keep Betty kind of back into the moment. But Mara also did some very different things in this segment. What stood out here for you about the way the coach was working with Betty around building this plan of action?
Well, it's Joel again. I'm loving this example. I have to say, Betty, I could really relate. You said something that resonated with me big time when you said, "It's not that I want to. It's not that I'm saying no. It's just that I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, and I can't give you a good excuse." And here, as you were playing this out, I'm thinking, oh my God, I can relate to this. So it's not necessarily a move, but any scenario where I really, truly don't want to do it. But you're trying to weigh the feelings of the individual, so if you say yes and you go and you're doing it begrudgingly, right? So it's the wrong thing, right? So anyway, that was the underlying thing that stood out. So thank you for that, for just saying that, because I suddenly found myself being thrust into the situation. But Mara, one of the things I did, there's two things I noticed when you opened up, you constantly summarize what has come before, so we're all on track. So there's no confusion about where we are right now in this point of time in terms of the process that you're going through. The other thing that I did notice is that I loved how your questions put the client in a situation where they self-discover the solution, and you were continuing to work that through until we stopped there. So that's the piece I think that was most significant for me.
Nice. Other observations, either about particular approaches or skills that were being employed in this segment? Anne-Marie.
Well, I have to commend you, Mara, for holding back, because I could feel myself wanting to say, oh, what did you think about this? Or have you thought about that? And you didn't do that. You were very good with just allowing Betty to come up with her own solutions. And even when she says, I don't know, you didn't, jump in and say, well, and take her down a path that might resonate with you, but it may not have necessarily resonated with her. And that's a huge aha for me, because I do feel that there are times where I will potentially provide an option and see where it lands. And I don't know, maybe that's a thing to do, or it's a good strategy or not, but I loved how you just kind of held back and was very, very patient. So congrats on that. That's an expert for you.
Yeah, nice commenting. And, Mara, you are so very comfortable with silence and just waiting to invite the curious when you put the comment, the question out. So I'm curious as well to hear a little bit from Betty about the impact that was having on you, Betty, through this segment. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was again. I'm thrilled that that it was noticed, because I was definitely feeling it. Because oh, come on, I need some help here. And even when I said I'm stuck, she didn't bite. And I will also say that somewhere in that process, and I'm not sure at what stage, because I was sort of in the role play, she offered me something, and it was some language, it was some phraseology. She offered me without any sense of like, oh, I think you should do this. It was, what about, and it was some language. And so I felt like she left me to myself long enough. And then when she did offer that, it really was helpful to me. So it's that balance of not jumping in too quickly, letting me sort of stew and think about it. And then that offer really helped me it created me for something for me to work with, because I truly was really blanking on it.
Nice. So I suspect there are other things to note here, but I'm conscious of time and want to go back to Mara to have you dive in again, just to kind of bring this to some conclusion today.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. So we are in the midst of the game planning phase of this conversation, the planning, the action phase of this conversation, where things can get really muddy. And and so we do need to now conclude the call. So we're going to jump right back in. Betty? Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Yep.
So so we're gonna speak again in a couple weeks. And so between now and then, what next steps would serve you to further clarify where we are in this topic of no and saying no?
Well, I think I want to, even though I said sort of confidently that I would recognize it, I'd note when it was there, I would pause. I think I actually want to practice that. I think that's probably, because I've said it, now I want to go out and practice it. So I just, over the next week or two before we talk again, I want to be conscious about it. I want to be noticing when it's coming in. I want to notice how I'm feeling about it, so that it's just so I can then kind of reflect on it. And see, if nothing else, if I can delay saying yes, to practice it. So I think that's really important for me to do that. Try that first. And then secondly, be thinking about what kind of language wording that you kind of gave me some ideas. I want to think about what that might look like.
Beautiful. So really in the next 2 weeks, what I'm hearing you say is you're going to be experiential with this and conscious with it, and really noticing in your body, and just really noticing your relationship with this.
Yeah.
And being able to slow yourself down.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Is that resonating? And then also reflecting on, as sort of part of your homework more with you, is what would be some language that would honor me and honor and respect the other person at the same time.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I think I'll probably do, I know that there's a lot of stuff online around like conflict resolution and ways of wording things, the I language and all that sort of stuff. So I think I'll also do a little bit of digging, just online to see where there may be, because I have no doubt there's phraseology that somebody else has already come up with of how to navigate situations to prevent conflict from arising. So yeah, that gives me, I think I can manage that between now and our next session.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I have some ideas too in my hip pocket, but I'd really want to hear what you come out with. It sounds like you, because we need to phrase it in a way that feels good for us, and everyone is different
Yeah.
in their style and approach too. So that's beautiful.
Sounds
So
good.
just to put the bow on the package here, Betty, what are your insights from this conversation?
Yeah. I'm conscious that my phone is about to go dead. So if I disappear, it took more energy than I thought. So what I'm taking away is I'm ready for this. Like just talking out loud with someone, like it's been in my head, in my heart, afraid to say it to anyone. And so just talking out loud to someone like you, who I know, isn't going to go blabbing or talking to other people has been very helpful. So I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this because there's so many things I want to say yes, that I am saying yes to. And there's other things out there that I want to say yes to, and I need to kind of make sure that the no side doesn't build, so it keeps me from these other things. So I just taking away, I'm ready for this.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Well, I really thank you for sharing so openly, and I look forward to speaking in the next. Have a great couple of weeks.
Well, thanks for your help. It really it made a big difference for me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Michelle.
Beautiful, folks. Thank you so much for such a beautiful demonstration, a real live coaching session. We're all coaches on the line, and I think we can all relate to the reality that Betty presented today in that safe space created in the confidentiality of a coaching situation with Mara. And so just such a rich opportunity to see the power, to see the way coaching can unfold and the power of it. So I'm curious, we're just about out of time, but I do want to go to everyone online and just invite one or two words. What are you going to take from this call? Notable learning or kind of a key inspiration for you? What's bubbling for people?
I guess for me, asking the questions as opposed to and resisting the urge to offer solutions. I liked, and kudos to both Betty and Mara for this demonstration. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. I got so much out of it. But it's just resisting that urge to offer the solutions, letting the client find it on their own, but working the conversation in such a way with the questions that it unfolds naturally, right? So that was good. I do have one quick question though, Michelle, if I could.
Sure.
And Mara, you mentioned some phases, Mara, that is there, like the brainstorm possibility phase, the game planning phase. Is that how you approach it? It sounded like you had a methodology that you were working through there. Could you just very quickly say what it is?
Sure. So this is this is a 5-step model. It's a model that I've used to facilitate coaching in organizations. I just made it into a 4-step model for our call because I wanted to make it shorter. But the first step is clarify the focus. The second step is brainstorm possibilities. The third step is called planning the action. The fourth step, which we didn't cover, is called anticipate barriers. So what might get in the way of you completing this? What might slow you down? And then the last step is called confirming the action plan. And that's where you have the client recap what they're going to do between now and the next call. And then also pulling the learning. What did you learn today? What were your insights today? So that's sort of that's the 5 steps, which we only did 4 today.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Great. Other key learnings, takeaways from today? Anne-Marie.
Well, I'll just say ditto. And I guess the request would be, is it possible to share that information as well, Mara, the 5-step plan that you use?
Sure. What I can do is Michelle, I can send you 2 documents, the establishing the agreement document. I have a full page on that just in terms of narrowing down the focus and so on. And then I can send the 5 steps in a document too. The 5 steps of the conversation.
Great, good. And why don't I share it with everyone?
Sure, there's questions for each step too. And
Great. I will do that. Beautiful. Okay. And Mary, you're still online. What would you like to
Yes.
add?
Yes, it was great. Thank you very much for the opportunity to listen. And I think the big thing that struck with me is that for the client, for the coach, it's so important not to get too much into the story. And I found that the coach was able to steer the client away from all the details. And I really liked what was said, that it's not in the best interest of the client, really, because it's all that time being spent just telling a story as opposed to really having the opportunity to gain insights.
Lovely, lovely. And that ties so beautifully to that overarching comment, really from Joel, which is that this fundamentally was such a beautiful distillation of inviting the client to find her own solutions to a real world challenge that she was grappling with. And so, what a powerful and very impressive demonstration of the power of coaching, what it can do in our lives. And so I'm just so thrilled that folks were able to join us today. I am so delighted that Mara and Betty were willing to jump in and demonstrate their skill and their willingness to be online and in person doing this work. It's always an interesting dance when you're in front of an audience. You did it beautifully, and we are the better for it. So as we wrap, I just want to invite any final words from Mara and Betty as we wrap this very special presentation for International Coaching Week.
I just really want to
I'm
thank
good.
you.
That was fun. Thanks. Thanks, Mara.
Thank you, Betty, and thank you, Michelle. It was fun, and I'm glad that it was fun, because I really do prefer to coach not on camera. It was fun, and thank you so much, and thanks everybody that were able to dial in, and I look forward to speaking next again. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great coaching week.
And I know that the gang at Admiral will be having a wonderful morning, recreating their own experiences with a host of folks. So, all the best, everyone. Thanks.
Thank
and take
you.
care.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great week.
Bye-bye. Have a great week. Cheers.